Welcome everyone to another edition of Real Talk Thursday. It's Larissa Popov here, your divine business mentor and the founder of the Yoga of High Ticket Selling Facebook group. It is my great pleasure to have a special guest with us today, Connie Whitman, who is the CEO of Changing the Sales Game. Just to share a little bit about her before we get into our talk. She is known for her high energy, passionate, and heart-centered approach to sales, teaching, and coaching. She has been the CEO of Changing the Sales Game for 20 plus years now, helping business owners, leaders, and sales teams build powerhouse organizations. She's a 3-time #1 international bestselling author of her book, ESP, which stands for Easy Sales Process, 7 Steps to Sales Success. And she's also a speaker and podcaster. And she's also an inspiring teacher and uses transformational tools and content to ensure that business owners and salespeople grow their revenue streams through enhanced communication skills. So her podcast, just FYI, her 2 podcasts are Changing the Sales Game and The Enlightenment of Change. So Connie knows a lot about sales, and she's been in this business and this game for a long time. So it's very exciting to speak with you today. And our topic is upleveling sales by tapping into our communication, superpowers, and blind spots. So welcome, Connie.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. And you failed to mention that you were on my show too.
Yes, I was.
So they have to tune recently. In. Yeah, we had great conversation about your stuff. So yeah, we got to support each other out here, right?
Yes, we talked about intuition and the role of intuition in business. So yes. Anyways, you guys can check that out. And if I have, I'll post the link again in the group. So today we're talking about communication style. So, you know, it's interesting that we all, if we dig in and really self-reflect, that we all have levels of subconscious bias and filters that don't necessarily support healthy communication and effective conversations. And I know this is something, conversation, even with my students in medical school, we have to talk about, you know, what is our unconscious bias and how does that impact our decision-making? So from your perspective, what are the foundational components of communication that cause us to have subconscious bias and filters?
Yeah, this is such a fascinating topic because humans are human, right? And we all, and I'm not going to use the word suffer, but we all fall into these biases that we really are usually very, very at the subconscious level. We don't even know they're there. So here are some of the foundational causes. One, and my free gift at the end, you'll share also, I have a free communication style assessment. How you're wired, you're born a certain way, you're going to die that way. It's how you're wired. It's how your brain is put together. It's how you think. It's how you perceive the world. Okay. So that kind of foundationally is the wiring. Now, this is where that creates its own biases because I only know my frame of reference, right? Larissa, I can't get in your brain to see your frame of reference with the exact same situation unless we have a conversation about it. So that's number one. Number two, second layer is men and women. Men are from Mars, women, we're from Venus. We are anatomically wired differently, which you would know better than me as the medical doctor. But our connector from our right to left lobe of the brain, the connector is a little bit different. So women, the blood flow, if you will, goes a little bit faster. So we can toggle between creative to analytic, where men, a little bit harder because they just don't have the same blood flow. So they literally have to shut down the creative thinking and then shift over to the analytics. So men see the world differently than women do. It is what it is. There's another bias, right? Because I've never been a man. I don't know what their perspective is. Next one is generation. So we have 5 generations working side by side. First time in history that this has ever happened. So perspective, right? You have, like at a Walmart or a McDonald's, a 16-year-old possibly working near a 70 or next door or next to a 70-year-old. The benefit of that is we can learn from each other. Unfortunately, what I see often with my clients is because of those subconscious biases, and I'll give you an example. I know some of my clients say things like, those millennials, and that is not a positive tone that they're saying it's a different work ethic than mine. See, so there's the bias. where whenever that's said to me, I flip it and say, I know they're brilliant. They're courageous. They're not afraid to step out of their comfort zone. They're not afraid to start businesses, right? We should glean and learn from that. And so perspective with the generations, it is what it is. And here's the other thing, Larissa, it's not good or bad or right or wrong. It's just the reality. So when I do these speaking events or when I teach my students, you have to understand that you have biases because the way you see the world isn't the way the rest of the world sees things. So think about from a sales perspective, I have this great product or service that I'm trying to sell, right? I'm this great business owner. And if I'm only secure in my perspective, I'm not showing up for the other person the way they need to be communicated with. So these are dangerous blind spots. Another one is, I'll share another foundational one is how we're raised, the environment. Now, I was raised in an inner city and then moved to the suburbs when I was 11 years old. Those experiences in the inner city impact me with my decision making today. And now that, like we use our intuition, right? And I've raised my awareness to my own biases and blind spots, that I see how that impact of growing up fearful in an inner city, how it affects my decision making, as a 60-year-old woman now. So being aware of that. So someone who grew up on a farm is going to see the world from a very different perspective than an inner city kid, right? So that's another one.
Yeah.
The other is our heritage, our traditions, how we were raised by our families, right? My dad came here from Italy. That has impacted how I see the world, what my work ethic are. All those things are impacted by how we're raised in our traditions. So again, my tradition is probably very different than yours. Doesn't mean that my way is the right way. So instead of approaching things as, well, you're different than me, we really need to start approaching each other of, can you tell me more? And be more curious about people's perspective. It just helps with the whole communication process. And it just gives you a leg up because you're coming from this place of compassion and love and intuition and care instead of judgment, right?
Yeah, I was just going to say, in summary, what I think you're pointing at when we can identify our sources of subconscious bias is, one, we have judgments about the way the world is and the way people are, and also we make assumptions, both of which are very dangerous, and that ultimately we need to have an attitude of curiosity. Because knowing that I don't know what this person's worldview is and their experiences in life, but no, I know that it's probably not the same as mine. And so by asking questions and it's actually very much, this echoes and makes me think of my background in homeopathic medicine and how our attitude when we take a case is to act stupid. And what we mean by that is that I don't know anything about anything. Like, you're going to tell me what you value. You're going to tell me what's important, and I'm just going to listen and follow your train of thought. And that avoids that bias and that those judgments and assumptions and things like that. So that's what it made me think of.
And I'm loving you right now, because questions and listening, they're two of the main steps in my 7-step process. You spoke about my book. If we're not asking questions and you're doing all the talking, and again, from a sales perspective or a business owner's perspective, really dangerous ground you're on. Because if I don't know what my client truly needs and I start, vomiting my products and services, I'm not going to make the sale. I'm going to be perceived as this icky sleazoid, right? So then if someone mentions my name and you, Larissa, had a bad experience of this pushy person, they're like, you don't want to deal with her. She's like super arrogant, super aggressive. So you're putting out this vibration of, well, but I'm helping, but you're not helping because you don't understand who the person is first before you start making your recommendation. So listening, and that's the other piece of what you said that I just wanted to just kind of reiterate and comment on, is if we're not listening to the client, exactly what you said, play stupid. Not that we're stupid, but if I don't step into that person's reflection, perspective, thought process, whatever's going on, I'll never help them. Or I can help them, but it's going to be super superficial, not helping them, really
Yeah.
move the needle of whatever the change they're looking for. So listening. And one more thing, I know you want to comment. I can see your body language. I love it. I love it. That's another piece of the puzzle, right? Seeing the body language, anticipating that somebody wants to say something, but listening when you're with clients, or in your case, when you're with a patient, for example, we really should be listening 70 to 80% of the time. Really, really humans, we like to talk 70 to 80% of the time because we like our voice, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I lost my train of thought of what it was that I wanted to say, because I was really focusing on you. It's okay. Let's move on then to why is understanding our superpowers around sales communication really important?
So again, my free gift, you get 2 reports, right? The first report is we have a natural superpower in how we communicate. Everybody has a superpower. If you are unaware of that superpower, you can take it for granted. Maybe you don't leverage it to the max that you should be to create better results faster, whatever it might be. So understanding your superpower is important. Additionally, sometimes we overuse that superpower and it can become viewed as aggressive, obnoxious, etc. So, right, we all, because it's natural to us, well, we think everybody's like that, so we use it all the time, and really it becomes a distraction and repels people instead of attracting. So you have to understand your superpower, leverage it, but don't over leverage it that it becomes dangerous, right?
Be a gift or a curse.
Depending on how you use it, right?
Yes.
So the last report you get is your lowest style, which is really a huge blind spot, meaning that lowest style, or the report that you receive, those clients are like 180 degrees in opposition of how you think. So if you're going on and on and on and on from your perspective, your superpower of communication, and you're not aware that this is an Achilles heel or a blind spot for you, you've lost the sale, you've lost the communication, you've lost, if you're in a corporate career even, and you're trying to speak to your boss about a project or a promotion, and you're not communicating or tapping the way they see the world, hear the world, perceive the world, no one's listening then. So I don't care what your superpower is, you're not mindful of that blind spot. So we need to be equally, and Larissa, I think sometimes we learn more from that blind spot than we even do from our natural superpower.
That's where the growth is. Yeah.
That's where the growth is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. So I do remember now what I wanted to say. We were talking about service, and are we really serving people? And that through listening, we may want to share with them our products and services, but if we're not really listening to their needs and meeting their needs, then that's not really service. That's just manipulation, right? We're just imposing our own agenda. That was the point I wanted to make. That's
right. And I'll give a perfect example of that, right? When I meet with clients, whether they're corporate or business owners, right? Doesn't matter. There's 2 camps that we come from. One is people just don't have enough leads. They're not having enough meetings. So if you have 0 meetings, guess what? You're going to get 0 results. Yeah. So, right, that's a problem. But what happens is people come to me, they forget about that, and they say, oh, I need to get better at sales. I'm not making enough sales. So my job is to say, well, okay, I have questions to ask. Are you getting in front of enough people? So now, if you're in front of 100 people and you're making 0 sales, well, you have the activity, something's happening on the other camp, which is you're not having the right conversations. You're not asking the right questions. Your process is off, right?
Exactly.
But if you have 0 appointments and you're saying, no, Connie, I need to have better conversations with who? The ghosts in front of you? So we need, we need to pause and address how can you get more engagement and traffic? Yes, we need to talk about those skills, but you need to get in front of people to practice the skills. Otherwise, you're working within a vacuum. So that's an example of listening. People think they know what they want, and sometimes they do, but sometimes they need that, but they need something before that new skill or whatever. And that's our job, right? Our zone of genius is to help decipher that. For me, it's sales. For you, it's the intuition.
Yeah, exactly. It's so true. Any sales conversation you have, people come in with it, they have an idea of what the answer is already. And oftentimes that's just a Band-Aid, or it's not really the root of what they really need. And that's our job to investigate and discover what that is. Okay, next question for you. What are the 5 different communication styles?
So a few years ago, I have a colleague, and she and I, for different reasons, but we've created our own communication model that has been now taken by thousands of people. So it's pretty accurate. It's tried and true, right? We developed it about 6 years ago. So we kind of come from the perspective that there's 5 styles that we typically come from, but there's a couple of components that I want everybody to understand before I talk about each of the 5. So remember before I said you get the report. Well, that report, you get scores for each of the 5 styles. Everybody gets their score for each of the 5 styles. So an example would be the range goes from positive 50 to a negative 50, and then all throughout that. Here's the important piece of the puzzle. Stimulating motivator, right? That's one of the styles, which I'll explain in a minute. Just because, let's say Larissa and I are both stimulating motivators, but our secondary style, one is a heartfelt advocate, another is an innovative organizer. And I will go through each of these, I promise. We see the world differently. Even though we start from that same platform, all of that underlying scoring of the other 4 styles absolutely impacts how we see the world. So you have to be mindful of the combination of styles that people come to. So it's 5. It's easy to understand. It takes some practice to really get good at the application. And for me, the application is where the magic happens. Okay. The other thing that's important to understand with the 5 styles, Larissa, is 20% of the time. So 2 out of 10 people we communicate with in all aspects of our life, not just business. They're just like us. We talk, we don't have to modify. It's easy. We feel like we've known each other our whole lives. That person is probably wired similarly to me. Mm-hmm. That means 8 out of 10 times, right? Or 80% of the time, we're really speaking with people that are different than us. So you see right out of the gate how impactful understanding these styles can impact your life, but also your business career, or your career as well. Okay. So now I'll do any questions with that, or I'll go to the 5 styles.
5 styles is good. Yeah. Okay. I think that was clear.
So first one, stimulating motivators. Stimulating motivators are shakers. They're movers. They move fast. They think fast. They create. They're cheerleaders for their teams, right? They make good coaches because they're all about that support and that love, right? It's kind of natural. Blind side of the stimulating motivator, because you're in such high speed all the time, what happens is, for people with less energy, you can actually create angst around you. You don't even realize it because you're like, woohoo, let's party. And the people are like, wait a minute, you're going too fast. And then we can create angst from that perspective. So again, strengths, blind spots. Next one, heartfelt advocate. Heartfelt advocates, just like it sounds, they lead with their heart. They feel deeply. They want to guide. They want to support. They're great listeners, right? They're great friends. They're your most loyal friends. Flip side, heartfelt advocates, they don't move on easily. So if there was a hurt 10 years ago, they're still feeling that hurt. They'll still talk about that hurt, by the way. And sometimes what happens is they won't take an opportunity or change something in their life for fear that I'm going to get hurt again of something that happened years ago. So be careful, heartfelt advocates. Wonderful, you lead with your heart. The blind spot is you feel too deeply, and sometimes that wound could last beyond helping you. Next one is the precise assessor. And I'm going to ask you to guess which one you think I am, really which combination you think I am. Okay. Next one is, and Larissa doesn't know this. So it's not like this is a show, right? She really doesn't know what I am. I'm curious. Again, it's about the application. Next one is the precise assessor. Precise assessors are typically an inventor would be a precise assessor. Computer programmer would be a precise assessor. An engineer is a precise assessor. Very logical, very methodical in how they think, very disciplined. They like routines, right? We need people like that in our lives, right? That's where we get the calmness from a precise assessor. Blind spot of the precise assessor will avoid conflict at all risks because they want to fly under the radar. They really don't want to be seen. They're usually a supporting cast. They're not on stage, right? So that's your precise assessor. Also, they can appear a little awkward in social situations because they'd rather talk to a computer perhaps than a human, because that's what makes sense to them, right? The next one is the observing designer. Observing designers are those people who love to do research and can go down the rabbit hole of research for 6 hours. And when you talk to them, you think, how do you know all these things? They love research. They love reading. They're the ones who click on the links within an article and they go down the rabbit hole. So here's the blind spot. Sometimes you go down the rabbit hole and all we see is your feet hanging out. You better have someone who can pull you out because you still have things that you have to get done in your life. So that could be a blind spot for the observing designer. You get so caught up in reading and researching and learning that you forget that sometimes you have to execute and do something. So procrastination might be one of the blind spots for an observing designer. And then the last one is the innovative organizer. Think CEO when you think of an innovative organizer. They like big picture. They're very quick to make decisions. Their way is usually the right way because they really can take a small amount of information and move quickly to seize the opportunity in the market or to create a new product because they see the need in the marketplace. So they're very quick to act with using very limited information. Where a precise assessor would say, well, we can't create that product. We need 3 more months of investigating and analyzing and market research, right? Where the innovative organizer goes, nah, this feels good. I think we should do it, right? The blind spot, though, is when you don't take the precise assessor and the heartfelt advocate and all these other styles perspective in place. Sometimes it could take you longer to get done what you're trying to achieve because you made a wrong step where somebody on your team might have seen that before you. So we sometimes shut people out because I know when I'm making the decision, I'm the boss and I like being the boss, but we miss those opportunities or bring something to market quicker because we haven't opened our view or perspective to others where other people have other strengths.
Great. Yeah. There's so much nuance in each one of these. It reminds me, I have a quiz called the Connection Charisma Quiz, and there's 5 different authenticity styles. It's not quite the same, but there is some overlap in some of them. I love it. That's very interesting. The leadership qualities, the research qualities, the emotional connection, and all these different dimensions. So it's very interesting.
What do you think I am? What do you think my top 2 are? If you
I think your top 2 are the stimulating motivator and the innovative organizer.
100%. So remember before I said the scoring, my stimulating motivator, I'm a 50 out of 50. All the people that have taken this, one person got a 48. Most people are in the 30s that are a high stimulating. So I'm like a crazy person, stimulating motivator. It's funny because my innovative organizer, right, that CEO kind of perspective on life, I think I'm a 38 on that. So I'll tell you though, because again, I'm aware of my style and I'm aware of all the styles because I've been doing this for so long. They fight. So I know when my innovative organizer likes all right, enough of the rah-rah, we need to get work done. Even with my clients, they need that stimulating motivator from me, but they also need me to call them out and say, okay, enough of this now. Now, what are you going to actually do? Right. And that's my ability to do the innovative organizer. If I was a stimulating motivator and a heartfelt advocate, for example, I'd be the rah-rah, but it would always be, let's talk about what feels good. Let's share our heart. We're not getting much done then. Yes. So that could be a little dangerous, right? We need somebody on the team who's like, can we stop talking about love and can we get some work done? We would need somebody on the team to kind of pull us out of that.
Yeah. And it's so important and so valuable for us to be more aware of what our strengths are and how those strengths can become weaknesses. And so that one, it gives us confidence in what we bring and the energy that we bring to the dialogue, but also so that, that we understand and are aware of how things can conflict and when certain aspects of our role need to come forward or take a back seat accordingly. And I think it brings a lot of confidence too when we know that these are our skill sets and that we can rely on those specific aspects to us and then rely on other people to bring other aspects to the
because you
mix in our team.
you clearly because you clearly see their strengths and you know what your deficits are. So for instance, I need people who can look at detail. Otherwise I'd be publishing things with a million typos. I text my husband and he'll call me and he'll say, did you read your text? I go, no, why? I know what I said. And he's like, I don't even know what you're asking me, because it's gibberish, because I'm moving too fast. Right.
Yeah.
So that's dangerous. I am aware of that blind spot and that deficit. So I have people that I know I have to count on to edit and reiterate and look at and, call me out on my stuff that I'm making mistakes on because I'm moving too fast at times. Right. So you have to be aware of that. I wanted to also comment the understanding the different styles and the deficits that come with that is important, because when we're speaking to someone new, this is what I was asked this recently and I had never thought about it. Someone said to me, and it was a live event, and they said, are all your friends like stimulating motivators and innovative organizers? And I'd never been asked that. And I thought about it and I said, it's funny. No, most of my friends are heartfelt advocates and precise assessors, which are my lowest. And they were like, why? And I said, my gut, I'd never thought about it, but I said, here's why. I crave that style because I don't have it in my life. So when I meet someone who's a heartfelt advocate and I see them doing something from just this loving, caring, empathetic, I think, wow, I didn't even see that perspective. So I'm fascinated that I surround myself with people that are it's my blind spot, because they make me better, but they're teaching me how to pick up that empathy, how to make that a strength where it wasn't for me before. So be mindful of that. Opposites, that old saying, opposites attract. I really think there's an element in there of that's why, because we don't have it. We crave it from the others that are around us. Right?
Yeah, it's magnetic. It's a phenomenon. It's an energetic phenomenon of attraction and magnetism, for sure. And we see this in human design too, and looking at how our auras interact and things like that. So, and
can I share one more quick thing?
Sure.
Do we have time? I don't want to go over.
Yeah, it's 12:30 now, so we're okay.
Okay, my husband is a heartfelt advocate and that precise assessor, right? My lowest is his highest. And the balance that we have is remarkable, because when I'm really good at work, right? I'm really good at business. That's another strength, right? So he sees me going down my own rabbit hole or my vortex of, I got to get it done. I got to get it done. Pedal to the metal, nose to the grindstone, get it done. That's me. That's that innovative organizer, where he'll come down and sometimes literally shut my computer, say, you're done. You're done. Like, this is ridiculous. I understand you have deadlines. You need to pull away. And I'll be like, and he goes, just let's go watch a movie. Let's go to a movie. Let's run an errand. Let's go for a walk, whatever. And 5 minutes later, I'll look at him and I go, I really needed this. He's like, I know. I don't even know. But because he's opposite of me, he sees that spiral and he can jump in and save me, reverse it. He's very, slow to move on a new opportunity, because what if I'm not good enough? Because he feels deeply, right? So he hesitates, where I'm like, pull the trigger, go for it. He needs those pushes from me. And that's why we have this great marriage. 30 years we're married, but there's this balance. So he knows me that I don't even argue anymore. I just let him pull the plug on me. Makes sense, right?
Absolutely, for sure. And ultimately, the point of us knowing ourselves better and knowing our clients and understanding the way that they think, or our potential clients better in the realm of sales, because we're talking about sales today, is to help improve our communication and our sales conversations, right? Because as we know, a lot of people have stigma around sales conversations, and they've had icky experiences because they didn't feel that connection. They didn't feel like the person maybe was necessarily listening or hearing what they needed, and feeling that you are really in service to their highest good, and communication is a huge part of that. So overcoming buyer's resistance is really important. And I know that you are actually doing a free webinar coming up really soon, right? About that. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so it's actually next week, February 24th, and then on March 1st, again, it's a 90-minute free workshop. Happy to have anybody attend. And I talk about this underlying communication. How does that apply to buyer's resistance? And we are all taught, again, through our biases and things that have happened in life and movies like Wolf of Wall Street, right? We are taught that when we're in front of someone and we know an offer is going to come, we start making objections. Exactly right.
It's like,
Well, I don't know that I'm ready to do that. And oh my God, and I don't have the money. I don't have the time. I have to check with my partner. We start coming up with all these objections. Here's the problem. Knowing your communication style, knowing the client's or prospect's communication style foundationally is critical, because if you don't come from their perspective, and it's your job to understand their perspective, you're putting up more resistance versus breaking down. And when I go through the workshop, I talk about the 5 layers, and I literally talk about being mindful of, you can't go from eliminating the buyer's resistance number 1 and then think you could jump to number 5. It doesn't work that way. We're dealing with humans. There's a process that we need to break down piece by piece, from kindness and empathy and love and care and respect, but it's one at a time. So I go through the 5 layers and how to break down each of those layers. And then I call the person we get in front of at the end of breaking down those 5 layers logically. It's called the objectionless buyer. They're always there. You have to earn the right to actually speak to the objectionless buyer. So my process, if you do it properly, you understand it and you execute it, you'll never get an objection again. You'll find people that are just ready to rock and roll with you, or you'll say to the client, I'm really not the person for you. So you'll never push where it's not a good match, right? So, but you have to understand those 5 layers to get there, plus the communication style.
Yes, sounds very intriguing. And our group is called the Yoga of High Ticket Selling. So people in this are in this group because they want to become better at sales and connecting with people and understanding that whole process. So I'm sure they're going to find that very fascinating. And I'm going to check it out too, because I'm curious. I would love to see your webinar. And I'm going to post the link in the comments below this video after it's posted, so you can register for that webinar. And you also have a free gift. Can you remind me what the title is of the Superpowers gift?
Yes, so it's the communication style assessment. So you get, and everybody's different. So you'll get your own report. And it's very cool. If you guys take the CSA, the communication style assessment, and you're on my workshop that you came through Larissa, tell me that and tell me what your communication style is, because I really do. Obviously, Larissa, you know this, when you're training, I have every style. I have all 5 styles, all combinations within the training. But when I understand the people in the workshop, their style, like I'll say, you hear what I'm saying? This is how you could approach it. So I really try to customize and give specific tips based on someone's CSA. So yeah, if you come to the workshop and you've taken the CSA, let me know. I will incorporate that into the workshop as well. I'm really good live. I'm really good about customizing things. So yeah.
Great.
Play with me. Come and play.
Sounds really great. I'm just going to check the chat to see if there's anyone watching live who has questions.
Cool.
Well, don't see questions. See a few likes there.
Yay.
Okay. All right. Any final words before we wrap up today?
I just hope everybody, found this valuable. And again, the free gift, even if you just, because it puts you on my list, right? But even if you think, yeah, Connie, I don't like you, I don't want to be on your list, get the free gift, opt out. I don't feel bad. I have very broad shoulders, right? I don't feel bad. Take that and start to, and here's my other recommendation. This is my favorite thing to tell people. After you take it, start to, now don't analyze and go, I'm analyzing you, Larissa. What style are you? Don't be weird about it. But start to observe family and friends that you know well, and look at the different styles and the report and see, my husband is this, my kid is that, my mom is that, my brother-in-law is that. You'll see that your communication with them will improve, because you're going to meet them halfway without even realizing it, because you understand that they're not talking or acting that way to annoy you. It's just how they're wired. And then all of a sudden we stop judging and we meet people halfway. So play with it. It's fun.
It's such a sacred gift to have insight into people like that. I've said the same things to my students, and it's the same even in knowing ourselves. through human design or any other tools that we use. It is such a privilege to have that deep level of insight into people, and we need to use it respectfully in a way that, I really am a strong believer in not giving unsolicited advice. Unless someone is asking you for direction or insight, keep it to yourself. But it's at the same time, it's really interesting to observe people in your life and understand them and see how you can actually create more harmony in your relationships and create greater connection by understanding them better and listening better and being more curious and overcoming our biases.
Yeah, it's a big one. It's a big one, Larissa. And here's the thing, we all have them. So don't judge yourself as you're going through saying, oh, that was a judgment. Okay, it was a judgment. Where did it come from? Is it serving you? Do the internal work. It just serves you well. It serves you in your life and business. And for me, isn't that like, shouldn't life and business be fun and easy? And not that it's always easy, right? We're throwing curveballs, all of us, but if communication can help us just create more ease and grace in our life, why wouldn't you use a tool,
Absolutely. I totally agree. Thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing your wisdom and your insight into communication and sales skills. So do check out the communication styles assessment below and the link to register for this free webinar. And Connie will be there on the call to coach you and customize that experience for you. So it's going to be very valuable. And thank you everyone for joining today, for watching the replay. Write #replay in the comments below, and we'll see you again soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you.